Hello everyone, my name is Hector Mendoza. I have a few series of videos that explain the Microsoft Office 365, especially your tabs. All these things, each one of these things are your tabs within a ribbon. This area here is a ribbon. Okay, um, so each one of them does different things. I've already explained how to use this area here. Well, actually, this is this whole area here. Now we're going to talk about paragraphs. So this is a group called paragraphs from the home tab of Microsoft Office 365. So here we have tabs, numbers, multi-list, list, decrease, increase, dent, sort. This is show hidden, and what it is show paragraph marks and other hidden formatting symbols. Then you have your left alignment, center, right alignment, justified, and I'll explain what justified for people that don't understand what justify is. Line and paragraph spacing, you have your shading, and here you have borders. So I'm going to explain what each one of these things. In addition, you have paragraph settings that I'll explain, especially when it comes to the line and border breaks. So hopefully I can do this within 30 minutes. This is kind of I could make it into actually a half a day explain everything, but we're just gonna explain a little bit of it. So first, let's talk about borders. Bullets. So if I had a document and I wanted to put bullets in front of each one of these items, I could select them, click here, and it puts a bullet right now. It moved it over to the left. So if I had it to, so right now it's at half inch, right? So if I had it, so let me go in here and change the order. Well, it's set to 9. Okay, so never mind. So watch this. So I can add a bullet. Now, if I want those bullets to look different, I hit Control Z, right? I'm gonna click here. This is the default for a bullet. Now, if I want it to look like this, now I added this one here, but normally you're gonna have this, those items on yours. So if you wanted to change it to that, those what your bullets would look like. And we're going to explain how to move this stuff back and forth, to the left and to the right. So additionally, let's say that you want your own borders every time you want to explain something. For instance, let's say I wanted my logo. I own a company called Mendoza Inc. It's Mendoza Justin Incorporated. So if I wanted my logo in front of each one of this list, I could go in here, go back to the bullets, define new bullet. Then I would go in. At this point, look, I could go in here, click on symbols, and you can use any font you want. Let's say symbol. I believe yours would be symbol because I think that's by default. So I changed it at one point or another. That's why mine looks different. So you would pick the font you want, symbol, right? You would go in and find the logo that you want. So let's say you want a greater than or less or a equal. Let's say equal. We're going to click equal, and we're going to hit OK. Oops, OK, and hit OK. Now, well, I hit divide. But whatever you put there from here on out, every time you wanted to put a different symbol or button, you could go in here, and now it's always going to show up here. You see how it's changing right here? Let's say I didn't want A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I could select that. Now let's say I do want my personal logo there. Again, we're going to go to new buttons. Here first, let me select this up here. Okay, so we're going to go right in here. We're going to go new. We're going to go to picture from a file. I'm going to go to my where my file is. Here, give me a second. So here's my logo. Hit insert, hit OK. Now there's my logo, right? Instead of, and you can use any photo. You could have a picture of your face, whatever you want, you can put in here. Now, if I wanted to change the size of that bullet, this is being treated as a font. So if I go in here and I change this to 20-point text, you see how my logo is changing? It changes because it acts as a logo. Now, of course, I don't want my logo in there. I'm just gonna hit Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, and now, you know, I kept on hitting Control Z. In Word, you can hit Control Y and go back to the previous undone. Okay, undo. So I'm just gonna put those in there. Now, that's how you change your bullets. Now let's talk about your numbering and your multi-level. Those can go coincide to each other. So if I go in here, select this, and let's say you've seen this before, like, you see how, let me see if I can't, no, I can't, here, let me move this over to the left a little bit. So, here, I'll tell you what, it'll be easier. Here, I want to go in here and do a quick view, and then I want to use multi. Then let's go back home, and oh, the reason I'll see why it's not doing that, because there's only one page here. So let me see if it'll let me show you both of them. So you see how it changes here? You can change them to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can change them like this or like this. So that's what this numbering does. Now, right now, you see where it's sitting right here? I could go in here and change it to a different level. This thing's, for instance, this is level 1, level 2, level 3, and what that means is right now it's sitting at like a little bit past half an inch. If I go here, you're gonna see it's gonna move to the right. Oh, I only had one selected, excuse me. So let's go in here and let's change the level. So I'm gonna do a drastic one. I'm gonna change it 5 levels to the right. Watch what it does. See, it went all the way down here. Now, if I want to move it to the left, I'm gonna click the first level, and it puts it back to where it was. And here's your level 2. You see, it moves over then level 3. As you go, it keeps on moving levels. Now, and sometimes when you move your levels, your buttons might change on you. So, like when we went there, you see how I changed those buttons? All you have to do is click here and change those buttons. So you also have things like this. You see a lot of paragraphs that are done like this, right? And it's all the same thing that we're talking about, using multi-levels. And then so let me show you how I did this right here. So let's say you want to number, and I'm going to hit enter. So right now, these things don't have no kind of formatting. If I click here, you see how this change is showing you that this has this formats based on what you see up here. So if I click here, it's going to go and show me that I have normal formatting. This is how Word initially puts in your text. Or unless if you've gone in there and formatted your document to do certain things. So this is fresh, and I'm going to show you how to do this kind of levels. So I'm going to select a few. Now I'm going to go here. So you can start with a 1, close parenthesis, and the text. A, close parenthesis, and text, right? But let's say that you don't want those open and close parentheses. You can click here, and then it starts with 1, A, I, and then back to 1, A, I, and it just moves over to the right. There's also other ways you can do this. Is you can have 1, 1.1, 1.1.1, and so on. So this has a bunch of different ways to do it. So we're gonna pick this one here, okay? Actually, the one I picked here is this one. So we'll go ahead and pick this one right here. Now you see it starts with 1, but let's say I want to move this. Let's say this was the main topic, and I want it to say, like on a desk, you have a drawer, you have, you have the table, you have sections of a table. You can go in here and say, or let's say it's a car. You got your tail lights, you got your horn, you got your seats, and you want to start listing them. You could go in here, click here, change the level, and now it's going to go to A, B, C, and so on, right? But let's say that you don't like A, B, C. So all you have to do is click here, change, define new number values, and let's say you don't want to start with an A, you want to start with a 1, okay? And you hit OK. Oops. Here, let's do it a different way. Let's click here. We're going to change. You see, instead of a number, I want it, excuse me, instead of an A, I want a number, right? So I'm going to hit OK. Now, 1, 2, 3. Now let's say, so if you notice previously, there was a space after each sentence, right? But when you start using your paragraphs, they're combined, they don't give you a space in between. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So I am gonna go in here and insert some text by putting enter RAN for random, open parenthesis. I want 7 paragraph and 3 sentences per paragraph. Hit close parenthesis, enter, and what it did now, it gave me all additional sentences, right? I told it I wanted 7 more paragraphs. Now I do want to view in multi-page so you can see side by side. Okay, and I explain all of that other stuff in a bunch of other videos. So as I was saying, you see here after each sentence there's a space after. So if you go and start formatting, it doesn't give you a space after, and it's easier if there's a space after this first sentence or paragraph. So if I hit enter at the end of a paragraph, watch what happens. It gave me a 2, and then it relabeled this to 3. Now you can go in and backspace, and it deleted this and it renumbered the next paragraph in this level. Right now let's go back all the way to this. There's an easier way to avoid all that. If you hit your shift enter, then it doesn't give you that it doesn't start numbering it. It'll give you a clean break. Same thing here. If I hit enter, watch what it does. See, it put a 2. I don't want that. So if you hit shift enter after each paragraph, then you then it doesn't do that. Now there's a command that, but I don't want to start talking about commands because I could do this in 1 second. Okay, and so I don't want to here. So let me show you. So this time I'm going to put equals RAN random, and this time I'm going to put 30 paragraphs. In each paragraph I want 5 sentences, and I'm going to close parenthesis, hit enter. So that's what I just created, right? Okay, so I'm going to explain later what this is. But you see those paragraphs, there's a space before and space after, and the other one don't have that. So if I go in here and change this thing right here and say remove paragraph. Okay, so remove paragraph. Oh, I have to select everything, excuse me. So I'm going to tell it remove paragraph. See, now I don't have a space after or space before. So when you start formatting, it's going to remove that space because it wants you to take on the characteristics of that one setting that you're using. So I just wanted to show you this on that other. Now, so let's say that I'm going to remove the paragraph. You see right in here, let's say that I wanted a hard return after each one of those paragraphs. I could go in, and this is a different lesson, but I'm already started. So I'm going to hit Control F. Okay, here I'm going to tell it to replace. And this thing, of course, came over down here. If I click here, go to more options, go to special, and I put paragraph mark, and I click here and I put special paragraph mark. Now look what happens, and I tell it to replace all. Instead of 1 return, you're going to see 2 returns after each paragraph, which will give you an additional line in between each paragraph. I'm going to hit replace all and hit OK. Oh, I put, excuse me, here. I did this too fast. Here, what a big dummy. Okay, here, Control Z. I added the wrong thing. So Control F. replace. You see, I accidentally, you see right there, there's a tab. I don't want a tab, I want a return. So go back to special. I hit the wrong thing. Replace all, yes, okay. Now, you see, after each paragraph, there's one return, there's another return. One return, another return. Before, this is what it looked like. See? And that's not what I was looking for. But I thought I'd show you that. So we're back to this. So I showed you how to go in here to use this, this, and this. I showed you how to change the order, how to move them back and forth. Now I'm going to show you another way to change your order, and I'm going to show you how to increase and decrease how it goes to the left and to the right. So right now, let's say that I wanted everything to go to the left, this formatting, right? If I click here, watch what happens. Look at this. See, it's indented to the right. Now I'm going to click this way. Now look, it's flush left because I used this icon to send it to the left. Now if I want to send the order to the right, I can click, you send it one order, there's the second one, second, third one, and so on. That's how you can, and what it's doing is increasing by the amount that's set in your, right in here. So you can right click, I'll tell you what, I better not do right clicking because here, let's go ahead and go to your defined levels. Okay, so right in here you're telling it how far you want it to go back and forth. So you can change the way you want it. You can tell it 1 inch, 1/4 of an inch, 3 points, 2 points. If you don't know what points are, there are 72 points per inch. So and actually, so when people are talking points, that's what they're talking about. There are 72 points to an inch, and you see that a lot in typography. And believe it or not, Word has a lot of typography in there. Okay, so I talked about this. Now let's talk about this guy right here, sorting. Okay, so sorting is, you see, bullet starts with a B, no, number starts with an N, so all your numbers, letters, start with an alphabet. So I'm going to put this in an order, in alphabetical order. So if I click here, watch what happens. I'm just going to click here because there's a lot of things going on here, but I'm just going to hit OK. Look what happened. Now you have A, alignment. Alignment, L comes before R because L comes before R, right? Then you got A, B, B, O comes before U. So it's doing it in alphabetical order, in other words. There is a way that you know, that you can set it at different kinds. So if you had let's say you had alphabet and you had numbers, and so there's a bunch of different ways you can do that, and we're not going to get into all that right now, so because I don't want this video to become real long, but I'm just showing you the basics. Okay, so now we've talked about all this. Now look at this character right here. This is hidden, so it's show hide. Okay, that's the name of that thing. What it does, it will show you paragraph marks and other hidden formats. And anybody that's been using Word and have used this for a long time, is I use it all the time. I don't even type without it. So if you click here, all of a sudden you see those returns, and I showed you on that other one. So this is what I was talking about. You see, that's a symbol of a return. You see this guy right here? This is a symbol. You can't highlight it. I don't think. Here. No, it won't let me highlight it. Okay. So this guy right here, that arrow pointing to the right, that's a tab return. Now look at in between the powerful and way, that little dot in the middle, that's a space return. So watch this. Look. Okay. Those are symbols that you learn how to use. And so when you're trying to figure out a document somebody sent you, you're like, man, what the heck did they do? Well, you can easily go in here, click here, and find out exactly what they did. Okay, this tells you a lot. Now we're going to go into another area of this Microsoft. We're going to talk about left, and anybody that's a typographer, there you got left justify, left alignment, quad left, right justify, right alignment, or quad right. Okay, so those are different terms that they use similar in typography. So what that means is everything right now is aligned to the left here, right? Now if I click here, watch what happens to each paragraph. It centers all the characters within that paragraph. You see? Now if I right align, and most people know that by right justify, right alignment, everything aligns to the right of your pre-selected settings. What I'm talking about is, you see this guy right here, your margin? If I move the margin over to the right, it's going to justify it to the left. And we haven't started talking about this alignments yet. If you click here, I want everything to start at 1 inch. Or now I can center to the new settings that I decide to use. I can left alignment. Okay. Now let me show you some cool tricks. Okay, now on everything that I don't use pull downs, and that's why it's hard for me when you hear me talk. I have to think about what I'm doing because I don't use this stuff down here. This is how I do my stuff. If I want it flush to the left or line to the left, all I do is hit Control L. Right now I changed. I did some changes that I would. Okay, right here. So let's move everything like this. Okay, so Control L for left, Control R to the right. Now you would think Control C would be for center, but it's really Control E, because Control C is copy, so they can use Control C for your justification stuff. Okay, now so you can just hit Control L, and and same thing. So commands are real easy. Control B for bold, Control I for italic, Control U for underline. So when you're using your controls, almost in any program you use, it's almost identical. Control C for copy, Control X for cut, Control V for paste, and especially when it's real it makes sense that Control L is left, Control R is right. So I thought I'd show y'all that. So now that explains this. Now we're going to talk about line paragraph spacing. Okay, so what is line paragraph spacing? That is the space between this line and this line. Okay, so what's inside there is oh so so sorry about that. I got a phone call. I just hung up because it was one of those robocallers. So paragraph spacing, and remember, it's talking about a paragraph. Now, if I select a paragraph, it's going to do the paragraph. If I do a line, it's going to do a line. Okay, so let me show you. So if I go in here and I add space before, you see how it's adding a space before what I selected? Same thing here. Look, I'm going to select this line. I'm going to tell it add space before. It's actually doing the whole paragraph. Okay, so right now you see there's a space after this. Right, actually it's add space before. Okay, so if I tell it to remove, see what happens? Look at the space right there. If I tell it to remove, then there's no space after this paragraph. So that's what this stuff is. Now, let's say that so what we're going to do is we're going to remove all here. We've already talked about this kind of stuff, so we don't need this. And okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you some stuff. I'm going to go here and remove all the space after. Okay, now here, the reason that looks like that, either here you have a space before paragraph, which it was, or it could have been because there was a return. Now, if you hit a return, which is one of those, then I don't care if you tell this to remove. You see, the only thing you can do is add. It can't remove because there's nothing there. It's different than using the return. This is called a hard return. Okay, so now if we select everything and I want to space every single word and space and give it space between it, I can tell it one time, which is, it's not going to do nothing because 1 times 1 is 1. But if I tell it 1.15, it increased it a little bit. This is 1.5 times. You see how it's starting to open up? This is 2 times the space that it's in right now. This is 2.5 times, 3.5 times. So that's how much it's adding in between its sentence, because I have it all selected. Now let's say that I want my spacing back. I got 2 options I can do. I could go in here, okay, and I can hit Control F. I showed y'all this before, and I'm gonna go in here and go to Advanced Find. Oh, it threw it on my other monitor. I'm gonna go to, see, because I had selected that return, it gave me that return there, right? And I'm going to tell it I want to replace that return. Oh, actually, it's because we had already done it before. That return I'm going to replace with 2 returns, okay? So I'm going to replace everything, and now I'm going to turn this off so you can see what it looks like. This is when it prints. This is actually what it's going to look like. Remember, guys, this formatting doesn't have add space before. it has a hard return, and that is the beauty of this guy right here. You can tell that that's a hard return. So if you see a paragraph that looks like has a double return, you would want to go in and, for instance, okay, so now I'm going to remove those returns, okay, and if I go in here and add a space before, you see it doesn't have two returns. You would have to click here to see that there is a add before, because it would allow you to remove, and if it's not one there, then you're not going to be able to remove space. So I hope it makes sense what I'm talking about. It's real simple once you get to know this. Okay, now we've talked about this. Now this is the next guy. This is your shading. Okay, it's not talking about your font. It's talking about the shading of a line or a paragraph or whatever you have selected. For instance, let's say that I go in here. I don't want to. Let me enlarge this area. Okay, I don't want to change the color of the font. I want to shade that area. So you see, I can click here, 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 or here. Now, of course, if this is hard to read, you're going to have to go in here and change the color of the font to maybe white. Don't select this right here. Well, it doesn't have that. You know, sometimes you can select none. Oh, here it is. No, sometimes you can select none. You don't want to select none because then you wouldn't see it. But you would hit white, right? So this is what this thing does. It selects. When you select something, you can color it any shade you want. And if you don't like the colors that you see here, you go to more. And you know, let's say you click here. I've gone over this before, and you see right now, here's my new one. So look, current, right? New. And let's say that you like the color, but you want to make it brighter or lighter. You can go to your hue, saturation, illumination, and increase the illumination. You see, as I increase it, it gets lighter. So you pick whatever color you want. Now, the last thing we got this and this to talk about. Okay, now we're going to talk about borders. Okay, so on borders, let's go ahead and turn off my and let's add let's go ahead and add some space before. Okay, so if I select this whole entire paragraph, I can go in here and I can outline the whole border. You see that outline? It's outlining this whole thing. Okay, now I can just I'll put a line at the top. I can put a line at the bottom. See? Top, bottom. Look right in this area, guys. Here, let me enlarge this area for you. And let me turn this out. Oh, that way you can see what's going on. Okay, so I can put a line at the bottom, a line at the top. I can put a line to the left. You see? Right in here. To the left. To the right. Okay, so now, or I could put all. Okay, so it's going to give me all the exterior, right? Now, so if I went in here, what I have selected, I am going to move this to the right and move this to the left. Okay, I could go in here, go to my borders. I could put a border. Let's say I don't want a border on the left. Excuse me, at the bottom. I just want one on the left, and then click here again and put one on the right. Okay, now I got 2, right? Now I could go back and add another border by, let's say I want one at the bottom, but I don't want it at the top, right? So now I'm going to add one at the bottom. Okay, you can add something here, you can add something there. So that's what these things do. Another thing that these borders do is, let's say that you wanted to add a it's called a, here I'll tell you. If I wanted to go in here and draw a table, this is not the only way to draw a table, you know, but this is another way to draw a table. So let's say I want a table, you see that little pencil? Wherever I decide to left click and then to right click, let's say I just want to stop it right there, right? That's going to create me a table. And tables are usually done in Excel. Now, while I have this selected, I can go in there and split this in the way I want. For instance, let's say I wanted 4 or 3 different columns with, let's say, 4 different boxes, you know, up and down. I could go in here, it's called split cell, right? If I split the cell, remember I said I wanted 3 boxes and let's say 4 sentences, or not 4 sentences, but 4 blocks up and down. I just hit OK. Now, let me see why it didn't do that here. So let's go split table. Oh. Excuse me here. Let's split. I'm losing my mind. I guess I'm. There. Oh, here. Sorry about that. Here, let me start all over. Okay. So let's go in here, and let's go and draw the table. Split the table. I don't know why it's not doing that. I haven't used it in a while, but I'm determined to do this. Okay, so because I don't do it this way. So draw a table, and there is a. Give me a second here. Oh, here we go. Man. Rows and columns. No. Wow. If I don't see it, I'm gonna have to move over and oh, that's why this is merging. Okay, so auto rows and columns. Insert below. Yeah, it's supposed to be. Here, let's do it this way. Okay. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing it. Okay, so number of columns. So we said 3, and number of rows 4. Hit OK. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I was right the first time. Anyway, now, you know, of course, you can make those things bigger and smaller, and we're not going to do this until we start typing, right? So right now, if you add something to this box, let's say, okay, this is, okay, this, and I'm going to hit tab, okay, to go to the next one, is, and I'm going to hit tab, a tab, it goes to the different new, and I'm just going to put box. I'm just typing, okay, just to show you how you can maneuver those words back and forth, sideways, turning them, and I'm not going to go over all of this because we could go in here for on tables. I could talk about tables for a while. So for right now, everything is left justified, right? You see right here, or left, align left. If I want to align it to the center, if I want to align it to the right, and I only have those selected, so that's why it's only doing those. So this time I'm going to select everything. So remember, left align, center, then you know you got like that's aligning at the top. But what happens if you want to align it in the middle? So if you click here, you see, and click here, it centers it, and then you want to center it up and down, you center it this way. Okay, so so guys, another thing you can do is, let's say you want to center left align. What is it? Control L, Control E for center, Control R for right. Okay, now so let's go back to the home page, the home tab, and let's say that I want to color this block. You can go in here and that's actually selecting that. Here, give me a second here. Okay, so if I go in here, okay, so if I right click here, I can change the color of each one of those boxes. Okay, just like clicking anywhere inside there. Okay, so now you can make those boxes bigger or smaller any way you want. Okay, now you can click here, right, and go and move those things up and down, right? Or you can click up here and move them this way. You can click here and make them bigger. Okay, so let's say that you click here and here, you can right click and you can merge those. So now it's going to turn all four of those into one block. Okay, you can go in here again, and let's say you don't want it colored. Anyway, like I don't want to go into too much. I mean, I could, like I said, I could talk about this all day long. One thing I will show you is you can also go in here and if you go into the paragraph and table layout, you can go in here and change the order of you see, you look at my text, you see how I'm putting it. So here, let's go to the left, and then I'm gonna push it up. And there's a lot more different kinds of ways that you can. I could make the words this going this way, but like I said, I don't want to get into way too much of. So now let's go back home. We talked about everything, all the way up to here. Now this is the last thing I want to talk about. So let me go ahead and delete this. Okay, so let me show you how to delete these tables. You can start here, go all the way down, and hit delete, and it doesn't delete it, right? But if you click right here on that thing and you hit delete, it's still not doing it. So here, give me a second here. I right clicked and I deleted the cell by right clicking. Okay, so this is the last thing we're going to talk about, and let me delete all this junk. I'm going to random put text, so equals RAND, open parenthesis, I want 30 paragraphs with each paragraph having 5 lines. Close, enter. Okay, so now we're going to talk about widows and not your wife. We're talking about orphans and widows, and we're talking about sentences. So what we're talking about is, you see here, let me add a couple of returns here. Okay, so you see this paragraph right here? This paragraph actually ends down here. And personally, when I'm doing typography or doing SOPs, standard occupational safe SOPs, standard occupational, it's a SOP. It's like programs, something to teach somebody. Okay, so I like to keep each paragraph by itself, so that when somebody's reading my stuff, they're not here on this side and having to go back and forth trying to read this paragraph. So, you don't want to start here with a paragraph, right? You can go right, you can do this, but you would want to be on the same page. So watch this. If I want to keep all of that together, I can click here, and I'm going to show you steps. I mean, I can do it all at one time, but I'm going to show you so you can understand what's going on. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to tell keep lines together. Remember, video starts out here. Okay, when I click keep lines together, watch what happens. It kept this together. In other words, if you see all this space here, right? If I delete one line, it didn't change it, right? If I delete another line, all of a sudden it went to the next one, because there was enough room in this page for it to keep those lines together. Okay, now, so let's say that I continue to delete sentences. Look what happens to this paragraph. So I'm gonna delete one sentence. Nope, it didn't do nothing. Delete another sentence. Now look, this paragraph starts here, and then I would have to do the whole thing over and over, right? So watch this. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Okay, now if I go in here, and remember, I put a bunch of paragraphs for us, right? Look, here's a paragraph that doesn't complete itself. Here is this paragraph. It just happened to fall in the right way, which that's not normal, but regular. So I'm going to select everything. This time, I'm going to click here, and I'm going to tell keep all lines together. Okay, so hit OK. Now, every paragraph, now, wow, it's now all the bottom spaces are not equally, and which these ones are pretty equal, because you remember I told it to randomly give me X amount of numbers per paragraph, and X amount of lines per paragraph, and how many paragraphs to put in there. So they're all, the paragraphs are almost all the same as far as how many lines there is. So that's why it looks like that. Okay, so but if you had a big paragraph, I'm just gonna if I had big paragraphs, then the alignment at the bottom wouldn't look the same, because we have paragraphs that are not uniform. Okay, so, but it really doesn't look that bad, unless if you have a big paragraph, it still is only going to be a little bit difference between the bottom of each line. Okay, so that's one thing I want to talk about. The next thing is keep lines together, page breaks. Okay, so first of all, let me go ahead and show you if you only did a few of them. So let's select this one's here. No, just select one, and we tell it to have a give me a second here, to keep lines together, right? And I went in and started adding a lot of and here, let me delete this stuff here. Okay, so if I went in here and started entering, look, it's keeping that paragraph because I told it to keep that paragraph together, right? Now, but let's say I add some spaces right here. Look, I'm adding spaces. Look what happens. It adds those spaces down here on this page. I'm adding them here, but it's adding them down there because it's a continuation, right? So I'm going to show you a different thing here. So let's go back, and let's say that we decide that we're going to add things here in this area, but we want this to start on the next page, right? You can go in here, and this is not the only place to do this, but you can go in here and tell it page break before. Okay, so I'm going to click here and hit OK. Now look what happens. I'm on this page and I'm hitting enters. You see, nothing is happening here because there is a page break. Remember, we talked about this symbol here. Okay, if you learn how to use those symbols or memorize them, you see those little dots on the those squares on the right hand side of each one of this ones here. This tells us that there is a page break using, it's called the page break before, okay, versus using I'm gonna have to add a lot of more characters here so that I can show you control. Okay, now, so if you're looking at those characters, this one has it's called the page break before, right? Now I'm going to use a different one, not in this, and we've already discussed this before, but maybe you haven't seen my other videos. This time here, right in here, and I'm not going to try to find where that thing is on this thing. I just know my commands. So if I hit Control Enter, now right in here there's a page break, which is not the same, because you see, like, look, I'll put a page break. Look at those two pages here. Look at these two pages. If I delete, nothing happens here. You see, I deleted everything. I put it back because I have a page break. It's the same thing as this other one that I use right here. Okay, so I'm going to enlarge this, and so I can put the other one next to the right. Okay, this one doesn't have it's different. There are two different kinds of ways to use a page break, but it has the same characteristics For instance, I can delete something to the prior page, add something to it, and it doesn't mess with the top of the page. Okay, so that, and then the last thing is you have, don't hyphenate. If you notice, none of my paragraphs have hyphenations. A lot of people will put like, a hyphenation here to make and it would return it would hyphenate it. Well, I don't like hyphenations, so mine's not programmed to do that. You can go to your settings and change your hyphenation, and that's another lesson. But let's say that you were set to hyphenate your sentences. You could actually go in here for this particular paragraph or paragraphs that I have selected. You can go in here and tell it don't hyphenate. Hyphenate. Okay. Now there is another thing here that I keep on hitting that we could talk about, this tax wrap. We're not going to talk about it right now. So that's the end of this lesson. You see, look how much it took to explain this, and I could have actually talked about just this one area for a whole day. Honestly, for a whole day. But I'm trying to make these videos short. Even though they're long, I'm trying to make them short. Hey guys, thank you for watching my video. If you like this, subscribe to me, or at least give me a thumbs up, and I'm gonna have a bunch of more videos. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.